Alright, so do a quick video here for you, just on how to set up your USB sticks. Now if you've got big USB sticks, you're trying to format them to FAT32 and it's not working, it's just because it's capped at a certain size. So I'll show you a program you can use to actually make any size drive. Doesn't matter if it's a 500 gigabyte or a 200 gigabyte. You'll be able to format the whole thing to FAT32. So we'll get into it anyway. So this is how you should set up your USB stick. Don't worry about that top one. Where are we? So there you go, games, saves, WBFS. Make those three folders. Games, that's where you put in your GameCube games. So if we go in here, now when you do get your GameCube games, of course you've got your disk info and boot dole. Just when you need these things here, just remember Google's your friend, so is Wiki Archives. So just type in that you're searching to get the disk info or boot dole for the actual GameCube, and then put that into that folder, and that's just so that way it boots up the games. And of course WBFS, same sort of thing going on, disk info down there. It's just so it can load it up. Now there is a couple of different ways of actually formatting. Oh yes, I've already changed that to WBFS. To put any games on here. You can, depending on what loader you've put on your Nintendo Wii, if you've put a GX downloader, a later model one, it'll actually pick up the NTSC. Just depends on what edition you're using. But yeah, if you're wanting something that's going to work all round for any sort of any Nintendo Wii, you're better off just formatting the whole thing to FAT32. But if it's just it's not going to be used for anything else, you want to set yours up easier. What you're doing is when you download your games, we got one here. No, alright, so we'll make that smaller. Alright, you'll see there that was Need for Speed, and you'll see here it's been turned into this folder here with the number. That's actually done through the Wii Manager, and it changes the game file into that. The problem is when you're actually using that file on say RetroPie or anything, Battlefield or something, you've got to change this change that name back to the actual folder name. But of course you're going to need this for file system when you've got it on your FAT32. Now if you're keeping it as NTSC, you can just keep your file as that file there. Like you'll see, I've got the note, there's still the full name, hasn't been changed. So you can just you can just copy and paste, which is a better one, so that way you're always going to be able to use your different ROMs without having to change names and that all the time. So the NTSC one could be a better option. As I say, not all of them will accept it though, it depends what versions you got running on your Nintendo. So let's just go here for a minute. Right, and now I'll show you what actually is creating it for that. Now initially, if you're putting in a USB for the first time and you're formatting it to FAT32 and you haven't put a WBFS folder on it, when you go into your Wii Backup Manager here, it will automatically put it on. So it'll detect the drive, you go here, drive 1, and then you'll say okay, let's make it active, which I've got one in there, so let's just say we'll go here, let's make it active so you can see what it does. So this is loading up the drive. Hello. It's taking a bit longer than it should. Now of course you don't have to use Wii Backup Manager. As I say, it's just a good one to use if you're going, if you're changing your thing to FAT32, and it's going to be more compatible with older versions of GX downloaders and things, GX Loader that you're using to run it. But if you've got Loader Model 1s, you don't have to go through all this. You actually don't need to download the Wii Backup Manager, and you don't need to put it through this. The moment you load your games up on here, it's fine, but then you'll go to transfer them. Let's say this is on your hard drive, and you've got your USB stick in. You'd go to your drive 2, activate it, and then tick transfer like any of your games here that you want. You'd put a tick on them, and then go to transfer, and it will tell you transfer to drive 2, and if that's where your USB stick is. And if you haven't put a WBFS folder on it, it'll automatically ask you, and you just accept it. It'll put a WBFS folder on there, and it'll transfer your games over and change them to this format here. But as I say, if you're wanting to keep in the other format, you've got the later versions running it, keep it as NTSC. You don't have to go through all this. All you have to do is, when you first format your USB stick, you've got an NTSC. All you got to do is go straight into your straight into the folder and just create the WBFS folder. Where are we? Yeah, so just go in here, create a WBFS folder, and you just put your folders directly in it, and you should be sweet as. Right, the next thing we're going to do, right, now for your SD card that actually plugs into the Wii. So of course, just ignore these games here. So they're actually the Wii games in their proper folder format. But yeah, we can actually, if you want to on the SD card, depending on how big your SD card is, remember a certain size, I think the Wii has trouble with it. But if you go too big, but initially what you can do is you got WADs for, you can figure out different WADs for your different games, put them in that file. As I say, Google's your friend, Wiki's your friend. I'm not going to have anything at the end of this on this video to actually show where to get WADs from or apps, but just know that you're going to need them on your SD card, and you're also going to put Letterbomb. So the same thing in Google or Wiki, type in Letterbomb, and just follow the on-screen prompts what you need to do. Initially you've got to have your the console ID actually in your Wii, so I can show you all that soon as well. But anyway, on your SD card, put WADs, paste all your WADs in there, apps, put all your apps in there. Now if you did want to put games on here as well, of course you could put games, write a folder called games, and then you could write another folder called WBFS, and then paste all them into it, and it will actually run from there. But I did find you're better off just putting your apps and your WADs and your Letterbomb in here. And of course you're going to be, in your apps and you're going to have GX Downloader is one of them. You're going to have the ModMe and a couple of other things, but we'll get to that shortly. This is just at the moment purely setting up your setting up everything. And when we do go into the when you do go and get Letterbomb, if you're finding you're having troubles, you're not able to get it, there's another one you can do. So you can type in green Letterbomb and do it, follow the on-screen prompts to work out how to do that one. Initially I didn't have much luck with it. You're better off just getting the red Letterbomb, the one that comes up first, and yeah, just follow the on-screen prompts. I will show you another way within the Wii. There is another way you can do it without, yeah, well, I'll show you anyway. There's another way of doing things without actually, download if you can't get the Letterbomb. Initially, this way that I'll show you on the Wii, not always, it doesn't always work, but it's worth a go if you're having trouble. Alright, so over to the Wii. So initially, if you'd gone and put letter bomb on the SD card, you've inserted the SD card, right here it will say that you've got one new message. You go under there, and then on your calendar here, it's not often right straight away. You've actually got to go left to right and try and find it. So what I normally do is bring up the whole calendar sheet like that, and you'll see there's a message there. And of course, if it was the letter bomb, which that one? Let's have a look what that is. Oh, oh it probably was. It's not any today because I've already done it all. Right, back out of here, but you'd select that in the calendar anyway. And then it will go for a load screen. At the end of it, you'll have to press number 1, I think it is, by the time it gets to the end. Now, as I said, if you're having trouble or something, you can't put it through your computer, or you don't have a computer, you want to do it through the Wii, go into your Wii settings. Of course, USB loader GX, that's what you're going to be wanting as well. I'll show you a few programs that you're going to be wanting, but first of all, we want to get sorted out. So go into your Wii settings. Where are we? Internet, WeConnect. No, country language. Where is he? It's not here. And of course you'll see here version 4.3e. Yours might be saying something else. I mean this is Europe or whatever, you might even know on it. So you've got to take note of that when you go online to do your letter bomb. It will ask you for that version. At the same time it will actually ask you for, hang on, where are we? No, go here. So you want to go into internet, go into console information, and of course that's the number that you're going to need. Oops, shouldn't really be showing you that one, but oh well. Right, now to activate your Wii, Wii Connect 24. Actually I'm just going to get a note here for a minute. Show you. Oops, okay. So you've also got to put on your internet. Now I just want to show you something here. You can go Wii Connect 24. Where are we? Actually go connection settings. Let's just go here and we'll clear them. This settings can't be recovered. Yep. Go under that. Oh, hang on. Shit, wrong one. Connection 1. Right, I want to go initially, if this is whatever you've actually set up. Oh, where are we? So if you've set up a connection, go into whatever one you've set up. Now initially, so you've been on the internet with it. Now what we want to do is go into change settings. Go, oh, okay, we're going wireless. But anyway, we go right over. DNS proxy server. Right, so what we want to do is go back here. Auto obtain DNS, you want to go no, and then go advanced settings. Alright, and these numbers here are what you want to put in. Where are we? So primary. Okay, so what you want to do here, where are we? Yeah, So there's your primary DNS. So you'd want to end up putting in there, what would it be, 97.74.103.14. Actually, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll actually do it to help make it look simpler for you. 97.74.103.14. Okay, so you want to go OK, then go to your secondary, and you're going to go 173. Oops. Shit, what was it there? 201. 71.14. Right, and you click OK. And what you do here is go confirm. It'll ask you to save it. I'm just going to blank this off for me because I've already done all this. Okay, so you go back to here, back out of here, then go to agreement contract. And when you click on that, don't click, what is it, it'll tell you to do something, don't click OK or yes, just leave it. Don't touch anything. And after a wee while it'll come up with a blue screen, and that's for the flash hacks. And then hopefully your Wii will be at the end of it. It should have Homebrew installed. And as I say, that's a way of doing it without your SD card. Right, so the next thing we'll get on to then, pretty sure that's basically all the info you're going to need to get started. You got the USB info, you got the SD card info. Yeah, and of course this one here we just showed you, and you come back to this and click in here. That's for your flash hacks. But anyway, we'll go back out of here. Back. Now what I'm going to go is go into the games. I want to show you also what you've got to install on your SD card. So when you're doing your apps and your WADs, these here are WADs, by the way. So you know, you can get a game that's a WAD, so you can actually get Sega games like Sonic and things like that, Super Mario. And then you can put them here as WADs. But like I say, Google's your friend, so is Wiki. So if you want WADs for Wii, just type that in. And the same like the USB loader GX. And that's the updated, that's the modified one. So that one actually brings up 3 folders to choose from. So, you know, like when your games, so you got your GameCube and your Wii collection all on the same hard drive. And we'll go on the Homebrew channel here. Of course, after you've done Letterbomb, that's your Homebrew channel, or after you've done Flash Hacks. Right. So there's a couple of things you're going to have to do before your games are actually going to work. So these are the things you're going to need to download. This is just basic. There's other things you can download, but I won't get into that. We won't complicate it. This will get you going. So what you want is Multimod Manager. So you want to download that to your computer, and then that gets put in your apps, in your apps folder of your SD card. And the same with this D2X CIOS installer. And of course that's when you're going to install different IOS, so that way you're this is actually going to load things up. Now of course to install your, actually I'll go into here, I'll show you some. We'll just load it here. Right, so you use this to install your WADs and things. Like you'll see there, WAD Manager. You've got App Manager as well. Don't do the patches until you learn exactly what you're doing. So in here, WAD Manager, if I go into that, right, so you'll see on my SD card I've got that Nintendo Entertainment System, and I've got USB loader GX. Oh. So just a bit bloody blurry, isn't it? Right, there we go. Right. So initially, yeah, whatever it is that you've got there, because you're going to want to install the WADs. And of course you notice on the front page I already had that in there. Nintendo Entertainment System, that might not have been. Okay, let's put Street Fighter 2 as a WAD, and plus this to install, or to return. we want to do the install. You'll see down here you've got a list for different things marked for an install batch, so we could actually go mark for batch install, so that means it's just going to do the whole lot instead of just one, whatever one you select. So here we could go, see, press the plus button, we want that installed, and we want that one installed. Press the plus button again. Okay, press A to proceed, press A to proceed, and now it's now installing Contra and what was that other one? Street Fighter. So that's actually going to be on the WADS folders at the front page there. So I'll show you that once that's finished. So you don't freak out when you see all this writing like this. I know it's not going to look familiar to anyone if you haven't done anything like this before. Main thing is just to make sure you're reading here. So we've already done what we want to do. We want to press B now, and we want to exit out of here. You'll see here this is boot me. It's just a backup boot folder, boot drive you can get in case you don't want to brick your thing. It's another way of getting in. I had luck with it with a couple, but with a couple others it didn't work. Right. Yes, we don't need to be in here anyway. Right, we want to go B, exit out. And actually, depending, if you're having troubles with nothing loading, come back into this and display boot 2 info, and you better get that going as well. So we're using current iOS 586175. Now I'll just show you another thing as well. Home button, let's exit out of here. Now to get this option menu up, when you're in your home route, you just press number 1 on your remote, and this brings it up. So you can go into the USB device and it'll stop, blah, blah, blah. And if we press number 2, it just changes the way the file's set up. So you can have it like that, or you can have it like that, and then go through, which like that's probably going to be a bit easier to see, isn't it? Alright, and press the home button, and that will take it so you can go back out of here. So you exit the system menu, and with any luck, those WADs that I just showed you before, they should be on in there. Alright, so you see there's Contra, and then over there's Street Fighter. See, and they will work without any issues. Right, now the other thing we wanted to do, so I've shown you that. Let's go into here. And of course, where we were with Multi-Mod Manager, when you actually get your thing, there's going to be a whole heap of WADs to install. But anyway, we're going to this D2X iOS installer, upload that. Now I've already done this, so I'm not going to be doing it again, but I'm just going to show you a quick revision of it so you know what to do. Alright, so you'll see here, yeah, so just press the A button. Right, so this is what we're going to be doing, is changing the iOS blocks. So yeah, I mean in the Wii there's different blocks you'll see shortly on the next page. So we're going to be changing it. So we'll be using the different, putting in different slots. 249, we're going to be using 249, 250 and 251 on different revisions. So I'll get down to it. I mean, I'm not going to go in and actually change them because I've already done mine. So I'll get to it. Now the other thing is, while you're doing this, before you've actually gone into all this, make sure that you've turned the internet on. And of course you'd have to do it in your main system settings on your menu when your Wii first turns on. So make sure you connect to the internet for this next step. Just makes things a whole lot easier. So you see up and down arrows on your, just do your selections, and then sideways to change them. Okay, there's a few different settings you can try. Initially I'll give you a couple of the best settings I've found. It does depend on your Wii as well, your system. I mean, I've found the black Wii and the white Wii seem to work different. I don't know why. It just seems to be the way it is. Don't know if it's going to be with all of them, but I'll give you the different settings anyway. Alright, so your first one would be V10, beta 53, Alt, and then come down to here, change that to 56. Then come down to here for your slot, and that's going to be 249, and then there 21010, and then you press the A button, and then once you come through the next screen there's going to be a whole heap of blocks that come up. It automatically goes into the right one, so just you don't touch anything. As soon as you press A from here and it goes to the next page, just press A again. Let that do its thing. It's going to install with a few load bars. Then you want to do is come back in here again, and your next setting, you want to make that beta 52, and then come down and make that 57, and then make that one there 250, and the revision make it 65535. Okay, press A again, wait again, then come back into this again, and then you want to change that to 58 and go 251. Oop. Press A again. Now with those little settings, if you find you're having troubles with different games straight off the bat, initially some games won't load instantly. You've actually got to tune them in the settings before they work. So depending what games you got in your collection, it's going to depend on what games you end up getting working on this. So the next thing, and as I say on the Wii's, I seem to find it's different on the black ones to white ones, etc. So I'll give you another lot of settings. As I say, if you have troubles with that lot, you can come back into your D2X loader, and what you end up wanting to do here is go beta V10, which it is there at 52, and you want to go base 57, so this will be and then go 249, and then the revision 65535, press A again. Then when it comes back here, keep that at the 52, beta 52. Actually, where's the other one? Oh yeah, no, keep it at that one. And then you want to go 57. No, we just did 57, sorry, so we wanted to go 56, and then go that one 250. Keep that, go to 65535, and then once you pressed A and you go to the other page, press A again, let it do its loading thing. When it comes back here, you got one more selection, so go up to here, change it to base 38 and 251, and keep that revision 65535, and that should help to make a lot of different games going, especially like with Call of Duties, things like that. I've seemed to find these settings here seem to give me the best all round. And there's another lot I can give you initially if you're still having troubles, but I mean I think either one of those two should be fine. But anyway, we should go. I'll give you one other selection if you're still having troubles, things aren't working properly. You can come back into here, and it's V10 52, and then you make that 56 for your first one, that one 249, and the revision keep it at the later model one 65535. Press A again, come back out, go to 57, go 250, press A again, come back out, go 58, go 251. Very simplified way of doing it compared to the other ways, but yeah, so that one there, I mean it works for certain things. Now the other thing you're going to need is Hermes. Oh, sure, what was the other name? Can't remember the other name now. But that normally has base 37, 223 IOS, and but yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll get into it. So you type in Hermes on your wiki or Google, as I said, they're your friend. and the Hermes iOS, and that might be something you have to put on here as well. But anyway, just try this lot first, see how you go. Alright, so we're going to actually exit out of here. So we want to exit completely. Exit. Alright, so you see the Nintendo GameCube loader, but we haven't got GameCube in here at the moment. Right, so the next thing is going to be tuning games. Oh, and that's right, when I was saying about the Hermes, there is a way you can do it. You can actually download it on your computer as an app, and then put your apps and your SD card under apps, and it will come up in here. And it should come up as a Hermes iOS 250, I think it is, by memory. My one's actually not in here now, but right, so moving on. So now we want to go into gameplay. So what do we do? That we're USB loaded GX standard one, nothing wrong with it. And then you've got USB loaded GX mod, which that one there is actually one that comes with sort of done like a file setup, where you'll get a folder setup. Sorry, you'll see 3 folder tags along the top that you can select, one for GameCube, one for the Wii, the WBFS, but up to you which one you want to use, doesn't really matter. But I'll show you the setup once we get in there. Now we'll put another video link to this one that actually shows you a bit more of the tuning. I'm just going to run through a couple quick things here for you, but watch the other video there, and that goes into a bit more depth. Now you'll see here's your main settings, GUI settings. So what I'm going to do is just scan through this, and you can just copy exactly what's here. That way you're going to be pretty much right. Loader settings. You may have to slow this down slightly and pause it where you need to. And you can add more things to this, like, you know, LED activity. You could turn that on if you want your LEDs working on your Wii. I just turn it off to save power, really. Force widescreen. If you've got a widescreen TV, you could turn all that on. Oops, but you'd be doing it up here on this one, not Devolution, because we're not using that one, we're using this one here. So there's the LED there. Go to the top. I will show you, yes, so that's Nintendo. So that's for your GameCube games. All the settings through here. And done like that, it works out all pretty good. And then of course for, oh, I'll go back up here. GameCube there. Now here, I mean, I've got return to USB loaded GX mod. You might have something else, or you might want it to return right back to the home screen. So you just select it in there, whatever you wanted to select it to. Right, and here, I mean, initially, so you see I've got 249 and 249. That's just on this main setting. As I was saying, some gamers may not like it. drive settings, FAT32. And as I said, if you do the other file where you don't want to use the Wii Backup Manager to change the files of your games and transfer them over, you can go into NTSC these days, and yeah, should be sorted. That's right, I was going to show you how to format your bigger cards to FAT32, so I'll go out and show you how to do that. USB port 0, I just leave it on 0. There's been a couple of Wii's I've had where I've had to put that on 1 or 2. Your memory card slot, you want to make sure it's the one closest to the bottom of the Wii if you've got it flat on the surface. Multiple partitions, that's just, if you end up putting partitions at different spots, but you don't really have to, not these days. But right, that there you could turn on if you want to. It's not on rumble. You could turn rumble on if you've got a controller that it's got it. Doing custom paths, this is a major one. Make sure you get all this right. 3D covers, see we're putting them USB loaded GX, images on the SD card, 2D on the SD card, apps, USB loader, go USB loader GX, disk artwork, same thing, themes, same, titles, same. There's only a couple things that really change. But if you have all these written the same, you should be pretty good. Right, main GameCube car path. See, we've got USB 1. You know how I showed you before the USB 0. So if you find that on USB 0 your games aren't activating, just change that to USB 1, because main game path we have is USB 1. But normally having that one set to 0, it's alright, it'll work. As I say, if it doesn't, just change it to 1. Alright, and this one here for your Nintendo, make sure you get that right too. Otherwise it ain't going to work. And here, GameCube path for your games, SD games. Main GameCube path, that's if you got your GameCube games, will be in USB 1. Right. We don't need any of that. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure you're all good actually. Theme, we don't need to go. Anyway. Right. So I think that's pretty much all your settings. Yep. Back out of here. Right, so Call of Duties and that are normally pretty hard. Mad Dog McCree, that was a hard one to get going to, I think, one part. So this is your settings anyway. Go under here. So if you find that, make sure you go back. If you find that you press start and you go to a black screen, or you get into your first part and it goes to a black screen after loading, go into your settings, go into game load, and then there's a couple of things you can do. Right, first one is to change the game IOS. So at the moment it's using global, which we've got global was the settings in the main settings menu, how I was showing you all the settings were. And remember, game IOS was set to 249. So yeah, initially, if you find this game didn't load, you could go into here. Notice how it's written as -1. Well, that means that -1, it's just going to go run off the default, which was what we put in the main settings menu. But let's say it didn't load here, you clear that, and you already know it's running default at 249. So we've got two others we can try. We've got 250, or we've got 251. And after you write one of them in, press OK, and then go to save, and then it will come up to save it. But I'm not changing it because I haven't actually checked it on this one just yet. So now, if you do find you've gone through all them IOSs and it's not fixed the problem, as I say, if you follow the settings and all the things that I've given you, you should be fine. If you find it still doesn't load and you've tried 249, 250, 251, the next thing you can change is here, video mode. Some games are well, sensitive to the ratio and the video mode. Remember the old Wii, initially the aspect ratio was a 4.3, so there's two ways around it. You can either go put it on 4.3, if you're in trouble, game won't, it just goes black screen. Go back into your game, see if it works. Still doesn't work, go to system default. And I mean, I find system defaults, you know, pretty much right. There's been the odd game that I've actually had to select the 4.3 or 16.9. Now the other thing, if you still find it's not loading, just put it on system default and then come up here and go disk default. Try that and then it should load your game. If it still doesn't, come back in again, and your next one you want to try is where are we? Disk default. No, that's all it was just on, sorry. So you got system default, so you try on system default, then go back to disk default. Now if you find it still didn't work with all them, you try it at Force PAL 50 or Force NTSC. Just go through all of them. It's a bit of a painstaking event because you're going to go into this and you're going to go save, back out to the game, try it. If it doesn't work, you're going to come back in here and then do this again. But as I say, we're going to leave it like that. As I say, if you do that, you should be pretty golden, should be sweet. And we're not actually going to save, we're going to get out of here. Right, actually a classic example of a game that normally doesn't work. Let's see if we've got it here. What's this one? No. Oh, there's a Call of Duty. Oh, there's another one. Right. So, actually, here's a classic example. We're going to settings. Now I'll show you how to set up Call of Duty. Actually, maybe this one is already set up. Oh, yep, sweet. So that one's already running fine. So you won't have to worry about it on. So that, boom, go back here. Maybe this one. So I'd say this one's going to have trouble loading. So actually what we'll do is go into game mode. And we're going to go video mode, just default, aspect ratio, system default, we'll go save. Okay, back out, and start. And see if it loads. Oh, look at that, and just before it wasn't loading. So there you go, it just goes to show the aspect ratio. So you'll see I didn't change the game IOS, it was going into a black screen before. And of course just changing that aspect ratio and the disk to disk default. Now we've actually got the game loading. The only thing with Call of Duties, you do got to go through a bit. You might think, yeah, I'm in, but it's the next screens that you've got to be careful of. Right here, that there, if that freezes, it's still not quite right. You've probably got the right IOS and everything, and I mean we're in now, but initially if it's not going to go in, it'll freeze where it said that loading bar down the bottom there, and if it's doing that, you need to go in and change the aspect ratio and change that thing to disk default or system default like I just showed you. So best of luck with the gaming, hope that's helped everyone. Pretty in-depth one, I've gone through it quickly enough I think. Hopefully it's all understandable to everyone. And enjoy your titles now on the USB, at least you don't have to worry about scratch discs anymore. As I say, there's going to be another video below this one, just an extra one with some extra Wii settings, but it's going to go over just what we just did, how I was showing you to change aspect ratio, things like that. But it's going to be, I'll probably go in depth with a couple of games. Best of luck, hope it's helped everyone.